Today's episode, we're going to be talking about February and how remote workers going back to the office is impacting dental. First, I want to know, how was your February? I posted recently in a lot of groups. There was a couple people who said, hey, we had an amazing February, but most people said it was a rough month across the board. Marketing, new patients are down, patient referrals are down, less patients coming into the office to buy treatment overall. It was a down month for most offices. So if you're one of those offices, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. How was your February? But in this episode, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the economy and how that's impacting dental offices. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a whole list of people going back to office. So I'm sure you've seen like Elon Musk and Doge and all the federal workers. They're demanding that everybody goes back to office. That's one group of people, and that's going to impact different pockets, different areas, right? But then you also have somebody like Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan. He literally just yelled at his leadership team, ripped their faces, cursed them out, and said, we're going back to office. We're not going to be working remote anymore. And then you have everybody from TikTok to Amazon and everywhere in between, where you have people going back to office, where they're just like, hey, we're going back to office. We're not going to be working remote anymore. You say, okay, Gary, well, how does that impact dental? Well, unfortunately, dental is a very restrictive industry from a time standpoint, meaning dentistry is a brick and mortar, and people have to show up, and most offices work very restrictive hours. They work the same hours that everybody else works. They're like bank hours, right? So that 9 to 5 or even 9 to 3, Monday through Thursday, no weekends, no Fridays. What that does is it creates a conflict. And so when people were working remotely, it was easy to go to the dentist. They just do it on their lunch really quick, right? But when you're working in office, it's not that simple, because you might only have a 30-minute lunch and you got to get there, got to get back, and that just isn't going to work for a dental appointment. And so what's happening and what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of people going back to office, and everybody's having to learn how to readjust their schedule. And this is across the board. This isn't just like one market, two markets. This is everywhere that I'm seeing that this is having a huge impact. And if you want to actually go look at a an economy that's kind of a little bit ahead of us on this one, is Australia. Australia is getting hit by people going back to work. A growing number of Australian workers are being ordered back into the office 5 days a week as an employer mandates create a domino effect of widespread acceptance that work from home party is winding to a close. And the article goes into how that's impacting their economy and how it's slowing everything down, and just the huge number of people that are going back into office. So how do we fix it, right? Who cares, Gary? Great. Doom and gloom, everything's bad. How do we actually fix it? Well, it's pretty simple to fix. First of all, you have to get block scheduling in place. The average time to appointment right now is 3 weeks out. So if a patient does call, they do need the dentist, you have to be able to get them in. No-show rates are through the roof for a lot of dental practices, especially for their marketing new patients, because there's just not a lot of availability. And so these offices end up putting these patients way too far out. So you got to be able to get patients in, but more importantly, you have to be able to get them in at the times that's flexible for them. Okay, this is going to be your early morning appointments, your lunch appointments, and your afternoon appointments. And then you're going to need to think about maybe opening up on a Friday afternoon or off peak hours and later in the afternoons. And the reason for that is you have to be able to give people the times that they want. And right now, a lot of dental offices have really healthy patients that they've treated already coming in and filling up the most valuable spots in their office. So I want you to think of your appointments in your office as real estate. What does that mean? They're like, think of them as like boardwalk and park place. the really valuable ones, right? So that's your mornings, your lunch times, and your afternoons. Those are the times that people have more flexibility around their schedule. And so what's happening is 6 months ago you scheduled Miss Susie, who's a great patient. You love her. She's done a ton of dental work with you, but she's largely healthy now, and she just comes in every 6 months and gets her teeth cleaned. And so she's going to come in, and your schedule is full of these kinds of patients at the most prime spots. And then a new patient tries to come in who needs a bunch of work done, and you can't get them in. You're like, no, we're 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks out for those types of appointments. And so what you have to do is you have to displace some of those existing patients, not in a bad way, just you're going to have to push them out a little bit further. Maybe instead of coming in every 6 months, they're coming in every 7 months, and then you're going to have to create block schedule of the most valuable time and hold them for new patients only. New patients only, those mornings, those lunch times, those afternoons. And what that's going to do is I don't think that like this work from home thing is going to get better, right? I don't think people are going to have as much flexibility as they had before, but you can create more flexibility by giving people more options. So that's what I would recommend to do. I'd love to hear in the comments, what are you doing to solve this problem? And I would love to hear how your February was. Let me know. Was it good? Was it bad? Am I crazy? Am I just seeing things? Or is the writing on the wall? Things going to get a little bit tougher here the rest of this first quarter. So hope to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day.